welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo Show. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, and I am excited that you guys decided to join me. Doing something a little different. I'm back from vacation, and I thought that with all of the things that have been going on and been in the news, that I should just kind of stop, take a step back, and allow each of you to kind of weigh in on a couple of topics. And so, what we will be talking about today, and here's how we're going to do this. I'm looking to have your feedback, and you put it in the chat. I'll bring you on camera live, and let's keep this respectful. And hopefully what will come out of this is someone will say, I had an aha moment, and there are some things that we can do and make some changes. So, talking about Roe versus Wade, talking about gun laws. I mean, do they even go far enough? Um, the other thing that I think that we need to talk about is how many bullets does it take to bring down a suspect, especially when they're running away from you? And this is in light of the most recent police shooting that has happened. And I know that there are a lot of dynamics, and that's why I say I want to allow people to have the opportunity to weigh in and to give their thoughts in regards to that. So, as you start to roll in, one of the things that I will start with is just simply this: is let's talk about first of all just the gun laws. The question on the table is, do they actually go far enough? Now, I know maybe a lot of people thought after the George Floyd killing that the Black Lives Movement, that things were really going to change. But my question to you is, have things really changed? What have you seen that would make you think that things have changed? New data really actually shows that the number of blacks that were killed by police officers has actually increased over the past 2 years. So think about that. Have things really changed? That's the question. We know that black people account for roughly around 13, 14% of the US population, but they accounted for 27% of those that were fatally shot and killed by police officers in 2021. And this is according to Mapping Police Violence, which is a nonprofit group that actually tracks the police shootings. So, on the table is one, have things really changed since George Floyd? Yes or no? And two, what do you feel that can be done or that we can do that's really going to make a difference? Because I tell you, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric around police officers and those kinds of things, and the change. But I would tend to say that you got to say that things really haven't changed. They've actually gotten worse. So, this is an interactive forum. I'm just asking you, I will allow you to come on camera and talk about the killings, what is happening with Roe versus Wade, or maybe you just want to talk about the piece that I'm asking about gun laws. Here's another question that I want to pose to you. In your opinion, do you feel that police officers should live in the cities in which they police? It's a known fact that, we give you an example. In Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed, only 8% of officers lived in the city. And here's the thing: when Rodney King was beaten, none of the officers lived in South Central LA. So the question on the table again is, should police officers be allowed to live outside of the area, the district in which they are policing. And here's why. When you live in a community, you get to know the community, you get to know the people, you understand them, you understand their ways. And I can remember growing up as a child, the police officers lived in the cities that they policed. And that's very, very different. And I've heard everything. Housing costs too much. It's they are at greater risk for being targets, so on and so forth. And something has to change. So I'm just curious as to what you feel should really change and how should things change. So I'm looking for your comments in regards to that. Okay, so another thing with Roe versus Wade, how many of you guys think that vasectomies are going to go up? I've been reading the posts, and literally, it seems that a lot of women are in agreement that child support should begin at conception. If a woman cannot cannot have an abortion, that's her right, her body, then should the man, and here's the thing, there are so many men that have children and they don't pay child support. Haven't. So what do we say to that, you guys? What are your thoughts? You know, come on, give it to me. We need to talk about that because I can tell you there are going to be a lot of men that are going to say, "Oh no, you know, I don't want to have to take care of a kid or any of that." So they're going to have vasectomies. And by the way, vasectomies are reversible. Did you guys know that? That's right. Vasectomies are reversible. So a man can have a vasectomy and go 8, 10 years longer. Of course, the longer you go, the probably the less effective it would be in terms of having a reversal of their vasectomy. But we need to think about those kinds of things. So I just thought we needed to just weigh in and look at what's happening with the US population being basically 51%, 50.5, that's 51%. What do we think? And women under 18, persons under 18 that are female, you're looking at 22%. I just read an article where a young 10-year-old was pregnant and she can't have an abortion. Y'all, what's happening? We should all be concerned about what is going on in our country. And again, it's not for me. I'm not sitting here in judgment. Whether you choose to do that, and when I say do that, have an abortion or not, I still say it should be your choice, your body. But I just think about 10 years old. What happens when a child is raped, molested, or even a woman for that matter? You're going to make her keep a child? And all of these children that are in foster care today that aren't even being taken care of. So, what are we really and truly talking about? And I just want to hear from you and hear your thoughts around that. I just say it really is. I agree with you. It's a sad day in our country. So, again, the three topics that I'm hoping that you guys will weigh in on and uh, allow people to hear your thoughts is gun laws. Do they go far enough? It blows my mind where we are living at, and it almost seems barbaric to me. I don't know what you think, but it seems barbaric. Then how many bullets does it take? The young man that was shot, I think Information was there were 120 rounds fired and 60 of them hit him. His gun was left in the car. And again, we need to talk about that. Sounds like there needs to be some education with our children. It, but I think there's a fear. I think there's a fear where young men feel that they need to carry a gun. Look at the man in, I think he was in Connecticut, at a block party, wasn't bothering anybody. Cops rolled up on him and searched him. He had a firearm, which he was on parole, should not have had. However, they take him and they throw him in a van, handcuffed behind his back. They broke his neck. And when he was saying, I need help, and the officer driving the car saying, can't hear you. Well, if he couldn't hear him, why was he saying, I can't hear you? The second thing is, the story was I had to slam on brakes really hard so to keep from hitting the car. And I really hope they go back and they look at the footage and really see to slam on brakes like that. And it's a known fact that that happens a lot when they're transporting um, people to jails, that kind of stuff. That's a way of throwing them around. No seatbelts, no nothing. And this young man, and what was even sad was when he got to the police station and he said, I can't stand up. And I was mortified to hear women, sisters, tell him, ain't nothing wrong with you. You just drunk. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And five of them, and they're all five are on paid administrative leave. I'm blown away. And when they tried to make him sit up in the wheelchair, he couldn't because his neck was broke. Now, you're talking about somebody kind of minding their own business, just kind of hanging out, going with the vibe, and officers roll up on him, and because he has a firearm, now he wasn't committed a crime, wasn't doing anything, and again, these are news reports I'm reading, but just looking at the footage that the officers had, and to throw him into a van and to treat him like a dog, that to me was terrible. And so now, of course, they're going to outfit all the vans with seatbelts. Did it take it coming to this? And you're talking about lifelong medical for this person, paralyzed from the chest down. I mean, that complete paralysis, totally unnecessary. So, what are we really, truly doing here? America, what's happening? What's going on? Black Americans, you should all be concerned. And here's the thing, how many millions of you did not go out and vote? But you complain about what's happening. Well, your vote counted for something because when you didn't vote, it counted for the other person. So, my question is, how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that? Since when did we become so callous that all we do is I call it lip service. That's what it is. It's lip service. Everything talking about, and it's the same old thing. Let me give you some statistics. According to when we look at the death of young males, look at this. The trauma, and this is a quote from an abstract called Premature Deaths of Young Black Males in the U.S. It was published January 3rd, 2020. The mass suicide, homicide killings, premature deaths, and death disparities among young Black males ages 15 to 24 in the U.S. It is not a paranoid propaganda, the article says. It is undeniably a disturbing public health crisis that requires an urgent response to reverse and ultimately eradicate the premature death of young Black males. The trauma, and ceased procreation prospects stemming from black males' premature death. Listen, this represents a public health crisis in America. Why? Because now we talk about procreation. We're black babies. They die with these 15 to 24-year-olds. You should be concerned. I just watched CBS and they did this whole focus around in Mississippi, the mothers who have had black sons that were killed and their murders were still unsolved. Y'all, it's a sad day when you've got that many murders in one city. And what gets me is when other black males, detectives, say, we're doing the best we can, or to tell a mother, you go out and solve your own child's murder and bring me the evidence. What's happening, y'all? Aren't you concerned? Aren't you worried? And yes, I see, let's see, put it up here. Now, police officers should be held accountable with their own insurance when they are found liable of an accident. Yeah, money tends to change their mindset. But is it an accident or is it premeditated? Just decide I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot somebody today. I'm going to kill somebody. And there's still a stigma around black men being, they're big, they're strong, and it takes all of us to bring him down. We should be concerned. Very, 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 very sad day, guys. It is a very sad day. And so, if that's not enough, we add to it that the gun laws. Have any of you guys asked yourself, there's still tons of mass shootings? Could the shooting have been avoided in Uvalde? Could it have been avoided in New York? And it's happening all over. But here's the thing that I notice. Maybe I'm wrong, but it appears that a lot of the white males that are doing the shooting, they get to live. The blacks don't. Either way, it's wrong, in my opinion. No reason for you to go out and start shooting and killing people. But how it is handled based upon the color of your skin also seems to play a major part and role in this. So I'm musing and I just want to hear your thoughts, hear what you guys have to say as relates to what's going on, what's happening out here in our world today. And for me, I think that we should all be concerned. We should very much be concerned with what's happening. So, don't know where the rest of you are at, but as I said, definitely these are really sad times that we are living in. And these are times that we should be concerned. All of us. If you have a black male child, grandchild, great grandchild, brother, brother in law, nephew, you should be concerned. Really and truly. These are very, very sad times. And we're just, hoping we could have a little dialogue in regards to that. talking about what is happening. How do we change it? I'm just curious. What do you guys think? How can we change what's happening? My thought, I know in California, if we got $1 million surplus, then there are a number of things we can look at doing. We could really and truly quit talking about building affordable housing and make it affordable housing where officers live in the cities of which they police, and whether it's a 5-year plan, 6-year plan, and their rent is, when I say, if they're in a 3-bedroom place and their rent's $1,000 a month, and people say, well, they're not paid enough. Well, you know what? If they're only paying $1,000 a month for rent, that's $12,000 a year, or $12,000, and allows them to save. And if their salary is $80,000, $90,000, with the help of a financial person, they should be able to buy a home or something in a period of time. But it's not just that. Our school teachers, I'm all about funding. The school teachers should have a complex where it's just nothing but teachers, and their rent should be so below market. It should be things that's affordable. But again, you guys, when you don't get out, when you don't vote, when you don't listen to what's happening to city council, when you're not paying attention to what the people that are elected that's running your city, the people that are elected that's running your state, the people, listen, they're just pushing legislation through, and you don't even know. You just wake up and say, uh-oh, what happened? What happened is we didn't keep our finger on the pulse, our eye on the prize. We weren't watching what was going on. And that's a responsibility that all of us have. Every single one of us. We should all be very, very concerned about what's happening. So I just think that these are things that we really need to be aware of, really and truly. So let's go back to, the this piece about gun gun laws, lenient gun laws. Some of you I know that are listening that are from Texas, you already know that the states with the most lenient gun laws: New Hampshire, South Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, Maine, Texas, Montana, West Virginia, Alabama, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alaska, Arizona, Kentucky, Missouri, Idaho, Wyoming, and Mississippi. The states with the strictest gun laws, and it's not very many of them. Of course, California leads the way. And then you got Illinois, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Hawaii, Maryland, and Massachusetts. Y'all, and the fact that, um, I got you, Carolyn, Florida, okay. But the thing is, what are these gun laws really doing? We say we got strict gun laws. Look how long it took to get something passed. Really and truly, we need to be locked and loaded. And if you're locked and loaded and what's going on, I'm telling you, you must get ready. You really and truly must get ready. And if you hadn't been paying attention to the state of what's happening to our black and brown just people, our elderly people, look at how COVID just ran through, killed so many people. Our healthcare system is flawed. We don't even have enough healthcare people to take care of and to really do a great job or a good job. Where's the money going to? And by the way, you mean to tell me every single one of you guys that are tuned in think that those politicians who are in the House and the Senate, that they should become lifers? And what I mean by that, if the president could only serve 8 years, shouldn't your senators, um, shouldn't they only have 8 years too? Why is it that some of them there, and which allows them to gain more political clout and power, and it's the same old stuff over and over? Aren't you sick and tired of being sick and tired? That's the question. We should be so concerned about what's happening. And I personally want to start a petition, not want to, going to, that we need to look at, and our politicians should not be able to serve 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they retire with a big old pension, the best health care possible. And where does that leave us as Americans? Where does that leave us? That becomes the question. So there should be term limits, I agree, on them. They should not be able, and the other piece of that, they should not be allowed to run again for at least 10 years. We've got to put the kibosh on all of these things that are happening. And it's just pitting people one against the other. You mean to tell me with all the stuff we have happened in our country, the only thing you can go and legislate is Roe versus Wade? Somebody should be really ticked off about that. Think about it. We need to be solving housing. Gas prices are through the roof. And yet you're up in here, putting together legislation and passing it on a 50-year-old rule. Something that shouldn't even concern you. And you know what's going to happen when those that have money have an opportunity to, if something should happen to their daughter, I'll guarantee you they will have the money to pay to send them to another state under an assumed name, get an abortion, and come back. That's the thing. And we need to stop. We really and truly need to it needs to stop. I love it. So this for me is absolutely crazy. It really and truly is. And so, Al, I see you're saying something about telling a woman about her body. Listen, for me, I think that there are other things that we need to be managing, and not that. My question to you, as it relates to, Roe versus Wade, is men can have vasectomies and they can be reversed. So, what say you about a woman, and she doesn't have, well, I guess she could basically have a tubal ligation, but the reversal is not as easy as it is with a man. So, something's wrong with that picture. What's wrong with that picture? I'm just saying. So we got healthcare that sucks. We've got wages that suck. We're sending money to other countries. And look, some of y'all that are more astute than I am, tell me, because all I see is what the US is sending to Ukraine, not knocking what's happening there. But we have people right here. We've become the sanctuary state, city, country for anything and everything else that goes on. But what about the people who are already living here that are living way below the poverty line? What about the people who can't afford to even get their medication because it's so expensive? What about the fact that people wait, and by the way, people of color, they don't have the health care, and by the time they do get to see someone, there are all these other health issues that have now come into play. But yet we are sitting here debating about a woman's body. We're sitting here debating about um, things that has nothing to do with that's going to help keep us safe. Because Roe versus Wade, I'll tell you, there's going to be some back alley stuff. Always has been. All you got to do is just look at the number of women who have been maimed just from plastic surgery because somebody said that they could do it. It's a sad day, you guys. You know? Yeah, I heard that. Senators calling Social Security an entitlement. Really? It that in itself says their mindset and what they're thinking. This is why you must vote. We have got to get out of here. Quit thinking that. And by the way, vote. Side note, someone reached out to me, I guess 2 weeks ago now, and asked me, was I aware of all the changes in the voting laws? So you all need to be reading up on where you are. Those of you that are in Texas, Florida, uh, let's see, Arkansas, you guys need to pay attention to what they said. Now, you can't even pass out water to people who are standing in line. If you didn't vote in last year's election, a previous election, did you know you need to re-register to vote? And I'm thinking that is absurd. But all these things to stop you from what is and should have always been your birthright, the right to vote, the right to walk freely among this land, all of these things. So you got to pay attention. And if you're living in these areas where they're now saying if you're caught passing water out, food, what have you, guys, get it together. Get it together. They've even moved so many of the ballot boxes where you could drop off your ballots. So all of that is happened in the black and brown communities. Be aware and quit voting. You should have a letter writing campaign to every one of your senators. If they are not meeting your needs, you guys got to get rid of them. You got to get rid of them. They're not helping you. And here you are making $20,000 a year, and they're making $520,000 a year, living well. And what are you doing? Crazy. It's crazy. So, just again, was hoping to have you guys weigh in and just talk about what is happening, what's going on, why is it a concern? And it's a concern, it's a sad day when not only have I learned today being Tuesday, so within 1 week's time, I know of 6 people that I'm friends with that have passed. Just due to, you know, well, I won't, some of them natural causes, some of them not. Most of them not, actually thinking about it. But then when you think about people who got up today and went out to work and didn't come back home, that's crazy. Things have got to change. Something has got to change, you guys. And so we have got to figure out a way to make our country work and work for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about all the people who are disenfranchised. But most of the people who are disenfranchised are black people. And we should be concerned. That, for me, says it all. So, gun laws. Like I said, how many bullets does it take to stop somebody running when you got 6 or 8 police officers at shooting at the target? 120 rounds and 60 of them hit him. And imagine, you're talking about hitting a person, how many of those, if they're running away from you? That concerns me. Hey, Emmanuel, thank you for tuning in. All right. So these are just some of the things we're just talking about. Gun laws, Roe versus Wade, and I still say police officers. If any of you can hear this, just by a raise of hands, guys, how many of you think that officers should live in the community in which they police? How many? Just curious. Because when they live in our communities, they get to know us. They learn us. They learn the community. They get to know the people in the community. When you live 2 hours away and you're living in this, I get so incensed when I see people on the news and they say, oh, these kind of things don't happen in our community. Our community, code word, white community. Come on, y'all, let's be for real. That's the thing. It don't happen in our community. Well, you know what? They should be living right here. That's the thing. Thank you, Emmanuel. I agree. And they become more vested, absolutely, Al, when they are in our communities. Yeah. And I hear you, Phyllis. And again, like I said, and I'm calling people out. These are people all over the world. Emmanuel, Africa. You know, we've got people all around the country. Here's the thing, but you are so right. You know, and I've just been talking about we need to vote in every election, not just the primaries. Oh, thank you so much, San Antonio, for saying that. That is true. Thank you, Daniel. They don't see us as people are equal for our humanity. You are so right. And these are the things that we should be concerned about. Y'all, don't let the fact they're already trying to take away your right to vote. And they're doing it systematically with things, making it harder and harder and harder. You got to have an ID. You got to have, and it's got to be this type of ID. And you got to do this. All of you guys should be concerned. You just think I just show up and vote for the president. No, not at all. You need to get rid of some of these crooked senators. You got to. And this isn't a soapbox of trying to cause people to get ticked off. But again, when you've got a 50-year-old law on a book and then you've got people coming back and saying, we need to change that. This ain't about making America white again. And what all of them, all of you that are listening need to understand, let me tell you, you don't know what's in your wood pile because we certainly don't. Those of us with green eyes, blue eyes, light skin, long hair, all these things, all of us that are chocolate drops. You don't know how that child's going to end up. So this whole idea that we're going to have an all white society, it doesn't exist. It's not going to exist. Not at all. So you need to lose that notion. And what you don't know is your little girl Sally or Mary, they sneaking around and they are with these other people of color, whether they're black, Hispanic, Latino. The thing is, you can't stop that. So that's the thing. And I have to show this. You're absolutely right. Local elections are often more significant than national ones because what's happening right here in your town, what's happening in your city, what's happening in your state. I know a couple of people that got elected because people just didn't go and vote. And now, let me just tell you, they running roughshod. They out here, they're pulling a Trumpster on you. You need to be aware. Those are the things that we need to be talking about. And again, I got to come back to at what point do you teach officers or can you teach them about humanity? Can you teach them about empathy? Can you teach them to realize and to just kind of stop for a second? There is so much that I see that's happening, and I'm concerned. When we talk about Black men between the ages of 15 and 24 being killed, we all should be concerned. We should be very, very concerned. It is a public health crisis. It is. And I'm going to say to all of those of you, and all of us have had somebody who has been in a situation where they have lost a loved one. You have no idea what that's like. You have no idea at all. So you should be concerned. You should be concerned. So I'm just, I have, um, I have an issue. I have an issue. I have an issue. And so, look, I'm going to post this link and allow you to come on camera. So you guys bear with me. And let's see if you can get this. For those of you who would like to come on camera and have your say, if you guys can see that, and just by a raise of hands, let me know, and I'll bring you on live. All right. So I'll give you a few minutes, and what I want to do is, you know, I love it. Yes, that doctor. I love it. I love you guys when you're talking. I know some of you guys are on YouTube, and feel free. Feel free. You've got the link. We only have about 9 to 10 more minutes. Uh, but I just wanted to talk to you before we go back to the regular show next week. And by the way, I do want to tell you that next week we're going to actually have the founder of the African American Wellness Project, Dr. Michael Lenore, who's going to be with us. And we're going to be talking about a number of things as relates to healthcare disparities. And I really hope that you will join us the following week after that. We're going to have the social engineer and Mr. Kevin Nichols. And lastly, we're going to have Dr. Orr talking about diabetes. And so I just really try to bring things to you so that we can talk about them. And you just have this awareness, just have an awareness about what's going on. But if we don't, and if you don't tell someone who tells someone, y'all, we're going to all just be out there floundering around. And then you complain, and you can't blame nobody but yourself. You should be concerned, you know. So you're always welcome, Emmanuel. Absolutely. I appreciate you so much. You know that very much so. But it's just about we've got to get a handle. We have got to get busy. Y'all, do you know that there are far more many of us than it is of all of, your judges, your mayors, your sheriffs, your senators, listen, you have got to recognize that we are the majority. You have a say in what's happening. You should be concerned. You should be talking. How many of you have ever tried to reach out to the police, chief of police in your area? Just to dialogue with them. Hell, you pay taxes. You paying for them. You paying their salaries. So we've got to get busy, you guys. We've got to have some concern. We've got to know that there's more to life than this. More than me spewing statistics and talking about people who are dying, and more of them dying at the hands of cops. You should be concerned that since George Floyd, that the number of murders and homicides by cops, they have gone up significantly. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So I just wanted to have an opportunity for us to dialogue and talk about, some things that are going on that pique your interest. Hopefully you'll go look it up. You you get engaged, you volunteer, you will hold your everybody from your district city council person, hold them accountable. They have monies, they have budgets, they have, and if you guys aren't looking at where they're spending the money and what they're doing, you should. You living on a raggedy street, and 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 you're wondering what's going on, and all you do is complain to your neighbor. You know, that's the thing. So you're responding to because they see that they can get away with killing people. They're literally in terms of consequences. And in fact, one of the things I am curious from, do any of you guys know if the cop that killed George Floyd, probably is he in a, what I want to say, uh, what's the word I want to say? Is he in a cushy prison, or is he in with the gen pop? And I know that they say that when cops come into gen populations, that that's a problem. But I just want to know, they get special treatments. Is that it? So that's the thing, you know. Um, you know, and Carolyn, you're saying you speak to the officers who are detailed in your area, and they don't like what? They don't like living in your city, or they don't like your city? I'm not for sure. Um, okay, he's in a real prison, but he's in protective custody. Okay, picked up. Okay, all right. Well, the thing is, don't do the crime if you can't do the time, and that isn't that what we've always heard? So those are the things that we need to be aware of, you know. So, but you kill somebody, and you think it's okay, you laugh about it. I have a problem with that, you guys. It's just too much. It's too much. And so I have concern for every, black and brown male that I see out there walking, and a lot of them, they just run because 5-0, 5-0. They're fearful of the cops, and that's why we need to have police officers live in the communities in which they police, so that that is not the case. And I just really and truly hope that someone takes this back. Um, you know, uh, Yeah, I hear you. I like that. You guys, thanks, Emmanuel. I have been told that I just hadn't had a chance to get around to it. Dave Grossman will tell you all you need to know about police officers' mentality towards us and the public in general. Yeah, I have heard that. Thank you for that. And that's something that we definitely need to see. Yes, you came on late. The question on the table was, did you see where the 10-year-old girl was denied the termination of her pregnancy from incest? And I did see that. And I opened pretty much talking about that because I thought it was just despicable. 10 years old, and I'm thinking about my granddaughter, and I'm thinking, wow. And you've put in place a law where you're going to make this child, and I'm just thinking about the mentality, a baby having a baby, and this is how can that be right? And so it's, for me, it does, Al. That was very disturbing when I read that, and the news that carried it on the wires for a couple of days. And this is why we need to vote, y'all. This is why you got to get folks out of office. You got to get those lifers out of there. You, and you alone. You have to do that. These people have lived a cushy life for so long. And if any of you are watching the January 6th, the hearings about the insurrection on January 6th, you guys should just be mortified. And you should be so motivated to get up, to vote, to demand a meeting, And here's the thing, what gets me, a lot of these politicians, You don't hear from them or hear anything from them until it's time to be reelected. That goes, yeah, Tony, the superintendent, listen, yeah, you hear nothing. All of a sudden, here you are. And so I just have a problem with it. I'm sick and tired of hearing you guys show up when you want to be elected, and I don't know a damn thing that you have done all throughout the year, the 2 years that you were elected. We should be concerned, right? You know, and so and yeah, look, I gotta put this up there. You're right. Those who made the decision to reverse Roe versus Wade can have babies anyway. And the ones that can, they have nannies and the means to take care of them. Absolutely. And it ain't enough to talk about we're going to give the mother money for diapers and for formula, those kinds of things. You know, what is that? That just doesn't make sense. And also, I said earlier for you, those of you who are just really tuning in, the thing is that a lot of these men, vasectomies are on the rise, I understand. I was talking to a healthcare provider, and she was telling me that vasectomies are on the rise, and because they can be reversed. And let me just tell you, the success rate of a vasectomy reversal is 75% if you had it within 3 years. It's 55% after 3 to 8 years, and it's 40 to 45% after 9 to 14 years. So guess what? They don't care. They go out, they have a vasectomy, and the thing is, what does that do as it relates to the laws to protect a woman from rape? And like we said, incest, all these other things. And these are the things that we should be concerned about. These are the things that we should be concerned about. And yeah, but again, you didn't vote. A lot of you didn't vote. A lot of you said, I'm not going to vote. A lot of you now are sitting here scared because you're worried that DT gonna run again. And the thing is, even with showing all the nasty, dirty things this person has done, there are still how many millions of people that say it's a lie, you know? So that's the thing, and I'm just jumping back and forth. I see Tony, you weighed in, not just the baby having a baby, but having to relive, oh my God, the situation and be reminded how was she impregnated for her entire life? Absolutely. So now, not only do you have someone that healthcare, but let's talk about their mental health. What's going to happen to them, right? And so I think that those are the things that we have to think about, and I'm just going to tell you, you know something happened to my child. Oh yeah, you're going to have to take me to jail, to prison, because if that's not what she wants, you don't have a right to tell me or keep her from it. Good question, Tony. There you go. What about a tubal ligation pregnancy where the mother's in danger of dying? Again, look at the number of men that were on that actually voted. And you're right, there are so many other intricate things that could happen to a woman. That old saying, when a woman tries to give birth, she passes through life and death, because that is true. And in many cases where the healthcare system is already broken and flawed, what do you think is going to happen? You're absolutely right. And so it's just really something. We've got to stand up, and we got to quit hemming and hawing and grinning. My thing is I was just doing some research and talking about Black Lives Matter. It just struck me, that a lot of these officers, they're resistant to change. Why? Y'all tell me, why do you think they're resistant to change? I say it's a good old boys network. This is how it's always been. It ain't broke. So guess what? We don't need to change it. And really and truly we do. That should be a concern to you. And all the money that they're throwing, out there, I'm sick of the narrative. Officers need more training. You need to hire the right officers. That's the first thing. And you need to get rid of those who are hell bent on, you know what, if I can take one more black person out, then guess what? That's one less black person. And you guys need to be aware. I talked about procreation. 15 to 24 years of age. There are mothers that are never going to see their grandbabies because they won't be born. And fathers who are not going to see, mothers and fathers not see their sons grow up. Y'all, this is a crisis. This is something we should be concerned about, no matter what. And I'm just telling you, you need to check out what the laws are where you live in order for you to be able to vote. You even need to check to see if you are still registered to vote, y'all. That's real key. Don't wait up until a day or so before an election and think you're going to show up and vote and they don't have your name. They don't have your information. That's right. And Emmanuel, thank you for responding. The question that was on the table was about, why do you think officers are resisting the change? And you're right. They want to maintain power. That's what it's about. Power. Y'all, we got the power. Each and every one of you have the power. We've got to teach our young black men how they're supposed to act, what they're supposed to do, right? There's the thing. And oh gosh, come on now. Come on. Look, 2 snaps. I hear you, Emmanuel. What you say? You cannot wait, let me get this up. Wait a minute, Tony. Hold on, Emmanuel. He says you can't retrain racism, tyranny, and psychopathy out of someone. And that's why, Emmanuel, I said you've got to get rid of them. You got to bring in a different mindset, a different mentality, because that is what it's about. And so, Tony, you were saying about back to the abortion. You said what? Obviously, nature believes in abortion, or women would never have miscarriages. Even nature knows when it's not right or dangerous. As sad as it is, the pregnancy is terminated. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Right. That's right. And let's see. We're a few votes away from bringing back slavery, public hangings, and the redlining. Well, I just really want to tell you the truth be told. You know what? There's still a lot of slavery going on. Have all y'all forgot about all those Hispanic kids that were separated from their parents that were trying to cross the border? Y'all ain't heard nothing else. And I heard that, supposedly something like 75% of them had been reunited with their parents. What kind of person would take a child and move them to the East Coast and send their parents to the West Coast? And there's some of them are young as 3, 4, 5. Listen, I'm just telling you, a lot of those kids are in servitude right now. They are treating them just like that. You just don't know about it because they don't get out and they are afraid. That's the thing. So when you talk about public hangings already happening, a lot of the lynchings that we have seen, even some of the cops say, oh, he hanged himself. No, he didn't. But nobody is willing to go out and to do the work and really investigate because they said, oh, I'm drinking from a fire hose. I'm overwhelmed. Well, if you black, and you got a lot of this happening, yeah, you're gonna be drinking from a fire hose, but you don't stop. You don't stop. And that's the thing. And you're right. Human trafficking, prostitutes, redlining, it never left. Very much so. It's very real. I know for a fact a family member that just dealt with that in the ATL. How you gonna buy a house and then turn around and they going after you got all your funding stuff and been approved and they gonna raise the price of the house to keep you from moving in. I'm telling you, it's all kinds of stuff. And people, you got to talk, you got to share, you got to get informed. You have to stay informed. You got to be informed. That's the thing. And so I just say today was just one of those days. I just wanted to I thought I was going to ease back into the show. I've had 4 weeks off, and thank all of you who actually logged on because you got something from a lot of the replays. And I'm just so grateful to all of you. I say this, I know all the time, but it means nothing if I'm dead and gone and I wrote it on a piece of paper. I want to tell you right now how much I appreciate you, every single one of you, all of your comments, all of your feedback, all of that. But those are the things that I think is really, really important, and we have to think about it. So just remember, y'all, we're past the hour. Some of you started. Chiming in, predatory loans, absolutely. That's still uh, that is so real. And Emmanuel, yes, definitely grateful to you. Keep making music, my brother. We need to talk about, getting you over here and having you on this show. I love it, and you love the Lord, and God is good all the time. But He also gives us a brain, right? And we need to use that brain to further ourselves and do something. So, guys, remember this time, 5 o'clock next week, we're going to have, you do not want to miss Dr. Lenore, the founder of the African American Wellness Project. I don't care who you are, you want to be dialed in. You want to be dialed in the whole month. And then we're going to get into talking about all of the things. If you have a special needs child in the month of August, I'm bringing to you some really good stuff, guys. So I thank all of you for being here, for hanging in here. And I know that there's so much that we could keep going. Eventually, my hope is to be able to do a forum. And some of you, I think, would really, really be great to have you in the forum and talk about things that are happening that are affecting us as people of color. And I just love you guys. I love you guys. And always remember, to pay it forward, buy black, support our black people and our black entrepreneurs. Support me. That really goes a long way. And I appreciate you guys. But until this time, next week, be sure, log in. Like I said, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, with that being said, guys, I'm giving you all the peace, all the love. Be well, stay safe. I will holler at y'all later.